Today, we're taking a close look at a major development in the world of generative AI. I'm talking about Google's brand new image model, Nano Banana 2. So let's get right to the bottom line. Google has taken its entire AI image generation platform and streamlined it into one single powerful model. This new system, Nano Banana 2, is designed to replace all the previous versions, delivering the highest quality images at the fastest possible speeds. And this isn't some future update. It's rolling out across Google's services as we speak. So let's unpack that a little. What exactly is Nano Banana 2? And what does this shift really mean for anyone using it? At its heart, Nano Banana 2 is an evolution. Think of it as a synthesis of two very different models that came before it. It takes the sophisticated, almost studio-level quality that we saw in Nano Banana Pro and combines it with the raw velocity of the Gemini Flash model. Now, the most important word here is unification. Before this, you actually had to make a choice. With this update, it doesn't matter if you're asking for a quick concept or a polished professional-grade image. You're using the very same underlying technology. This really simplifies the entire process for everyone involved. What this new model really does is solve a central problem in AI image generation. And that's the classic trade-off between getting something good and getting something fast. In the past, the choice was pretty clear, but it was also limiting. You could go with Nano Banana Pro if you needed incredible detail and really high-fidelity results for, say, a final project. Or you could use Gemini Flash if speed was your main priority. Getting ideas out fast, trying different things without a long wait. But you couldn't really have both at the same time. Well, Nano Banana 2 just completely eliminates that compromise. All those advanced features that used to be reserved for the slower Pro model are now available with the kind of instant response you'd expect from Flash. And that fundamentally changes the creative workflow. So that's the tech. But how does this mix of power and speed actually translate into real benefits for you? What does it let you do that you couldn't do before? It really comes down to a whole suite of major upgrades. The model has a much deeper understanding of the world, for one. It can also render text inside of images far more accurately. It can keep characters and objects consistent across multiple pictures. And it follows complex instructions with much greater precision. And on top of all that, the overall visual quality, it's just higher. Right, and here's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Advanced world knowledge. That doesn't just mean it recognizes famous buildings. It means it understands concepts. You can literally ask it for a diagram explaining a scientific process. And because it has that contextual understanding, it can generate something that's factually coherent and genuinely useful, not just a pretty picture. And here's another incredibly powerful application: storytelling. If you give an AI a complex prompt like this one, the biggest challenge has always been consistency, making sure the characters look the same from one frame to the next. Nano Banana 2 tackles this problem head-on. It's now able to maintain the consistent appearance of up to 5 different characters throughout a single story. That allows for coherent storyboards and narratives that were honestly very, very difficult to pull off before. And it's not just about the characters. The model can also accurately render and maintain the look of as many as 14 distinct objects in a single prompt. That's crucial if you're creating complex scenes where specific items need to show up again and again. From a purely practical standpoint, this is all about versatility. The model gives you complete control over aspect ratios and resolution, all the way up to 4K. What that means is the image you generate for a quick social media post can be just as easily adapted for a high-resolution professional presentation, and you won't lose any quality in the process. All right, so where can you actually access this new technology? As we said at the top, this is not a theoretical launch. It's being integrated very, very widely. Essentially, Nano Banana 2 is becoming the new default engine across the entire Google ecosystem. You'll find it in the Gemini app. It's integrated into Search and Lens. It's available for developers through the API and Google Cloud, and it's even powering creative suggestions inside Google Ads. Now, of course, anytime there's a huge leap forward in generative media, a critical topic comes up: provenance. How do we actually know where an image came from? As these tools get more and more powerful and the results become more and more realistic, the ability to identify AI-generated content is absolutely essential. Google is tackling this with a 2-part strategy to ensure there's transparency. So here's how that process works. First, the image gets generated. Second, a technology called SynthID embeds an invisible digital watermark directly into the pixels of that image. And finally, that information is combined with something called C2PA content credentials. That's an open standard that allows other platforms and tools to verify that the content was in fact created by an AI. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a concept. This verification feature, SynthID, has already been used over 20 million times since it launched. That shows you there's a real demand for reliable tools that can source content. Which brings us to a final thought. This progression, from having separate models for speed and quality to having a single, unified system, it marks a real acceleration in this field. And as these tools continue to get better at handling complex technical tasks, it poses a fundamental question for all of us to think about. What then becomes the new role of human creativity?